Hey fellow babies, welcome back to Pachter Factor. We're doing some E3 prep here. I appreciate you guys joining us on SIFTD.net. $4 a month for all your E3 content sifted according to your preferences. You can actually get through an overwhelming amount of content. Please sign up. It's only $4. Give it a shot. Our first question this week from Nick on the SIFTD site. My associate's name is Nick. I wonder if he's moonlighting and asking questions. Which type of media outlet is more important at E3? Traditional media like a CNN that reaches new audiences, or enthusiast games media like IGN? I think that's a great question. Look, for selling games, it's probably more important that the enthusiast sites cover E3. For broadening awareness of the industry and helping with political initiatives, like when we had the Schwarzenegger case, when California was attempting to regulate sales of M-rated games to minors, I think it's important that you get the traditional media involved. So E3 is a showcase. It's one of those things where you want grandma and mom to know about games, recognize that they're wholesome, recognize that it's a real industry, and that when the kid is playing games all the time, that there's nothing wrong with them, that's kind of normal. And their grandma and mom aren't reading IGN posts. So I think it's important for legitimacy to have traditional media coverage. And you really don't get traditional media coverage other than E3 and Christmas. You just don't. There's not traditional media coverage of, the launch of a February or March title. Nobody gets really all that excited about it unless it's an all-time record. So like Red Dead's not going to get any kind of media coverage outside of the games enthusiast media in May when it comes out. And nobody covered For Honor or Ghost Recon this year. I mean, again, other than the games enthusiast media, nobody cared. So I think it's important that moms and dads and grandpas and grandmas continue buying their kids' games, continue respecting that there's actually something to be gained from, playing games. I just actually went to the doctor. My doctor was complaining about his 29-year-old son who sits in his room all day playing video games. And I said, well, does the guy have a job? Oh, yeah, he's gainfully employed. Then, who cares? That's how he spends his time. Other people watch TV, and some fools actually go out and exercise. But us fatties, we stay home and we play games. Next question from the SIFTD site from Vox91. Now that fans are allowed into E3, what is the point of EA Play? We could have dropped the first part. What is the point of EA Play? I get leaving E3 as a possible cost-cutting measure, but if EA Play is supposed to be a fan event, why is it being presented as just another Electronic Arts E3 press conference? I honestly think that's a pretty smart question. It's kind of chicken and egg here. EA thought they didn't pull out of E3 for cost cut. They're spending more on EA Play than they do on the floor at E3. They just decided, and I think they're wrong about this, that they get more bang for their buck by having their own event. And they're hosting it in Hollywood. Pull out Google Maps and look at, find the Hollywood Palladium and find the LA Convention Center. They're not a walk away from one another. They're 4 or 5, 6 miles away. I mean, it's not an easy drive. It's, I've got to go to a press conference there and a meeting there. I'm going to take an Uber, and I say I'm going to give myself 30 minutes to go 5 miles. So not easy. You can't go back and forth. And so the only advantage to being, in the same city is that the E3 management team gets to go to my E3 party. Short of that, as there's actually no reason for them to come downtown, and I bet they don't come downtown except to go to my party. So the right question is, is EA right to do a fan event? Yeah, I think they are. Is E3 emulating EA by adding fans? Yes, I think they are. Is this in part a ploy by the ESA, who puts on E3, to bring EA back into the fold? Yes, I think it is. So I think that what would be great for the ESA and better for the health of the games industry is if EA played with everybody else at E3, and if EA Play was inside E3. So think about that as the focus of the EA event. you have to attend E3 to attend EA Play. I think that'll happen. I think that the ESA will probably be able to work with EA and get them back inside the tent. The trick now is not that they have their competing events, it's the timing. So, you know, EA is actually starting on Saturday. You know, and E3 runs Tuesday through Thursday. I think the ESA is going to have to rethink the whole Tuesday through Thursday thing. I think if you open up a fan show and you expand it a bit, you can go Monday through Thursday. You can probably have fans with exclusive hours. So I would, if I was the ESA, I would do, you know, fans after 3 o'clock or something, and have, you know, the trade only before 3 o'clock. So pull at Costco, you know, do something that's a little exclusive for the industry. But fans can go from 3 to 6 all 4 days, and the industry has the morning sessions, and bring EA Play back in. I really think that's the best thing to do. But you notice EA has moved their press conference to Saturday. Microsoft pulled forward a day to Sunday. So it's like, my God, we used to have nothing on the weekend. And then Bethesda, in blasphemy, decided to do a Sunday night press conference. So of course, Microsoft decided to go Sunday morning or early afternoon. I think it's noonish, 1 o'clock. Now EA's on Saturday. Like, where the hell do our weekends go? You know, I do work all the time, but honestly, I'm not looking forward to being away from my family Saturday through Thursday in LA, 20 miles from home. What a pain. So again, I think that bringing fans in is smart. I think you can manage it well. If you make a 3-hour-a-day exclusive fan experience, and then in the mornings have Jeff Keighley doing EA Coliseum, or E3 Coliseum, excuse me, and have, you know, pretty impressive guests so far. You know, he's got Neil deGrasse Tyson. So he's got like really cool people. I think you could turn EA Coliseum into, I'm sorry, I keep saying EA, E3 Coliseum into something really meaningful. And again, Monday through Thursday, maybe have some press conferences on Sunday, but knock off this Saturday stuff. And I think you'd have a much more successful event. So I appreciate the question. I think it's smart. Okay, our next question, I remember this guy, Tibble and Bits from the SIFTD site. Does it make sense for publishers to spend large sums of money on lavish E3 press conferences now that we can watch E3 events from the comfort of our homes in good video quality? Is Nintendo's approach of digital-only E3 presentations a better ROI? Do these presentations have any meaningful effect on game sales? First of all, they're not expensive. You know, Microsoft's probably is, Sony's probably is, but you said publishers. The publishers, you know, the only ones who do a press conference are EA and Ubisoft, and they do them in relatively small arenas on a weekday. So, Bethesda. Yeah, Bethesda does it in, I can't remember what the places they're having. Oh, they're in LA Center Studios. Those are inexpensive to rent. I mean, you know, I would bet those are less than $25,000 to rent the hall, and because again, it's kind of at a time when no one's using it. And so they're really not, in the scheme of things, I recognize $25,000 sounds like a lot of money, but I'd be really surprised if they spent much more than $100 grand. I mean, it's the food and drink that like Sony puts out, and renting the Shrine Auditorium is expensive, renting the sports arena is expensive. You know, is EA's, not the Shrine, what's the USC thing? Microsoft does it at USC. Galen Center, I couldn't think of the name of it. Yeah, so those things are expensive, but the publisher press conferences are not. The answer, though, does it make sense? You are watching an E3 event that's professionally produced. It's the production that actually costs the money. And putting it on TV only costs money. The point is, if it's a watch from the comfort of your own home only, it's not an event that the press cares to cover. So this is like the Academy Awards without an audience and without a red carpet. If there's not an event, it's not as much fun to watch. If it was just a webcast show, here's who won the awards, you wouldn't watch. You would just read about it the next day. So they need the event to attract the press. Nintendo's approach to digital only, is that a better ROI? I think Nintendo is out to lunch on how they manage their E3. They should be there. They should be there in force. They are taken less seriously than the other two console manufacturers, and they are taken less seriously than the other publishers because they're not there in force. I think that's a horrible mistake, but in fairness, I think this started when Mr. Iwata got sick, and he pulled out understandably because he was sick, and he kind of canceled a bunch of E3 stuff. And then the next year he died, so obviously there's a very good excuse. But in the couple of years since, and this will be the second E3 since he died, or second full year since he died, I've never met Mr. Kimishima, so I don't know if he even bothers to come to LA. I think that's horrible for him. You run a huge company with a ton of people who care, and you have the world's premier event for that industry. Show up, have a press conference, talk about your products. So I think no, better ROI, no. They spend less money, but they get absolutely no coverage because of it. And the mainstream press doesn't even think about Nintendo without a splashy event. Do they have any effect on game sales? No, not particularly. I mean, they make people aware. So, announcing a big game like a GTA coming out on next-gen consoles, sure, you'll get pre-orders. But, the game's only sold 80 million units since. I don't think the press conference and the announcement really moved the needle on game sales. This is really more of an opportunity for all the different publishers and manufacturers to showcase their products. And they essentially have the world's attention all on the same couple of days, and that's just an opportunity that's foolish to pass up. So I think Nintendo makes a big mistake passing it up. Our last question this week is from the SIFTD site from McWomble. If there was anything you could change about E3, what would it be? This is a note to Mike Gallagher because he runs the ESA. Because I am 100% on board with you. If I could change anything about E3, I would make sure that everybody who's involved in the games industry and publishing games, whether they be mobile or social, desktop, or free-to-play mobile or desktop, any type of game, and console included obviously, is part of the ESA and is at E3 and is making a splash. I think we need the Tencents of the world to have a display there. We need the Supercells of the world to have a big display there. I think we need the games industry to come together, and I am not criticizing the ESA at all. That is their vision for the industry. I think an industry that stands together is stronger. I think it's better for all the participants. And, I think that we shouldn't be drawing distinctions between PC and console and mobile. I mean, they all make great games. We consumers enjoy all of them. Legislators rule for or against all of them and try to regulate all of them. And I think it's really important that that industry comes together. So I think that, again, I think the ESA is doing everything they can to keep everybody together. And I think we kind of need to beat up on these renegades like Nintendo, who doesn't have a press conference, and EA, who has their own competing event in the same city, and we need to bring them back under the tent and get them back on board doing the same thing, because I think this is a phenomenal industry. I feel extremely fortunate to be tangentially associated with it, and honestly, I hope games are around for the next several hundred years. I think it's just a really fun industry, and I think ESA makes it a better industry at E3. So if I could change anything, I'd slap them all upside the head and get them under the tent. Thanks for joining us on Pachter Factor this week. Hope you watched on SIFTD.net. For the price of $4 a month, you can curate all your E3 information and news flow. If you're not watching on SIFTD and you're watching on YouTube, that's cool. We want you to enjoy all of our Pack lovin' for all my fellow babies. Thanks for joining. We'll see you next week.